Welcome, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining in our paella cooking class with Molly Malone of Enterprise Spanish. We're all thrilled that you all can join in and equally happy to see your faces and your kitchens. Without any further ado, I'll go ahead and hand things over to Molly to lead us through our session.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much, Diana. Yes, this is how we say your name, Diana. Perfecto. Excelente. Thank you so much, and to the whole you for hosting this cooking event. We say in Spanish, bienvenidos, which means welcome. Bienvenidos. I'm so excited to have you here. In a minute, I'll show you my kitchen. It's a secret, es un secreto right now. So I wanted to kind of kick things off first. First of all, I wanted to introduce myself. Yo me llamo Molly, and I am the founder and CEO of EnterpriseSpanish.com. And we offer virtual fun events as this, but we also offer small, intimate Spanish classes that are tailored just to you and your goals and your needs. As a working professional, as a traveling professional, maybe you love traveling to Spanish-speaking countries, or just daily conversation around town or with people in your home. So if you are interested, go ahead and visit enterprisespanish.com. And a little bit about me, you can go ahead and follow me on Enterprise Spanish on Instagram. I'll be posting some photos of our cooking event tonight, which I'm super excited about. And to let you know a little bit about my Spanish language journey and cultural journey as well, because this cooking event is more about culture and tapping into a little piece of Spain. And my learning journey began in Los Angeles. So this recipe that we have tonight is actually from the neighbor I grew up with in Los Angeles. She's from Spain. Ella es de España, on the other side of the world. And I started my language learning journey in Los Angeles and then lived in San Sebastián on the northern coast, El País Vasco. And I taught English there to adults. And I lived and worked, and I was also a travel writer in San Sebastián. And while I was there, I traveled all throughout Spain, writing articles and learning about all the different cultural aspects of parts of Spain. And of course, paella became one of the most delicious and very much eaten dish of mine. I think I gained about 20 pounds living in Spain. This paella is very healthy. Not sure about the ones there in España, but this one, so don't worry, we're using all natural ingredients today, so our tummies will be happy. But yes, paella was definitely a passion of mine. So San Sebastián, and then I actually lived in Los Angeles. I taught bilingual education for many, many years and got my writing bug itch again. So decided to go do a master's in journalism in Spanish down in Buenos Aires in Argentina. And I loved Buenos Aires so much that I ended up living there for almost 5 years, 5 años. I wrote for their international newspaper there, all travel articles related to wines, vinos, and culture, and foods, and dance, and architecture. So I am definitely a Latina wannabe. I love everything food, music, art, language. It's one of my passions. So, or I should say, my passion. Es mi pasión. So now currently I'm living in San Francisco, so I'm so excited to be here connecting with you virtually. This is so good. We have a lot of cooking to do. That's why I'm speaking very fast. Estoy hablando muy rápido. So let's hop in. I'm going to introduce you to my neighbor, mi vecina Edith. See, she is the neighbor from Los Angeles, but originally from Spain, de Valencia. And you'll see above my head, it says La Receta. That means the recipe. So this is her special recipe that comes from Valencia, España. So if you're kind of wondering, oh, I can't remember where Valencia is in Spain, we can go. Let's go ahead and take a little trip. Vamos a Valencia, ¿sí? So here we are, estamos aquí en Seattle, ¿sí? Y vamos a Valencia. El vuelo, the flight, el vuelo dura, it looks like around 13 horas, 13 hours, directo, ¿sí? Y cruzamos el Océano Atlántico, y después vamos a Valencia. So here's a map with a little bit closer up. You see Valencia is on la costa este, the east coast of Spain. Where I lived for part of the time was Madrid, and then up here, San Sebastian on the northern coast, the Basque country. So I'm wondering, now that we're going to be cooking paella from Valencia, you'll notice it's a little different. Es un poco diferente. Some of you may have had paellas with seafood and mussels in them. Well, this paella does not mix land and sea. Las personas de Valencia no se mezclan comida del mar con comida de la tierra. See, they don't mix those two. So we're going to be having a little bit different taste of paella today. It will still taste traditional, but without the seafood flavor. So what I'd like to know before we hop off cooking and we're all sweaty and into our food, I'd love to know, just to kind of set the stage, ¿Dónde te gustaría, where would you like, ¿dónde te gustaría viajar? Where would you like to travel? ¿Dónde te gustaría viajar en España? So maybe some of you are like, I've been to Spain 5 million times. Or maybe some of you are like, I want to go, me gustaría ir. So whatever your excitement would be around Spain, I am going to pop a little poll up, una encuesta. So while our hands are still clean, I would love for you to know where you would like to travel. So you could choose San Sebastián, Valencia, Barcelona, Madrid, Sevilla. Hopefully you see this poll on your page. Marbella, that's one of my favorites. It's right down next to Malaga on the tip here, the southern tip, right on the coast. It kind of reminds me of like Miami a little bit. El Camino de Santiago. Some of you have reached out and said either you're planning to do El Camino de Santiago or you already have done El Camino de Santiago. That spans a whole long distance up here in northern Spain. Pamplona, interesting. No one's saying Pamplona. The running of the bulls, that is happening soon. En julio, I think it's the 4 de julio or 6 de julio, 7 de julio. It happens for about 5 days. My father actually did it. We were all together. I was in high school. He went and ran with the bulls. Oh my gosh, so scary. Or everywhere. Por todas partes. Excelente. Okay, 105 of you answered. So I'm going to give you 2 more seconds, 2 segundos más, and we'll turn in our polls. En 2, 1 y 0. Muy bien, muchas gracias. All right, let's see where the drum roll, los tambores, ¿dónde quieren viajar? San Sebastián, Valencia, whoa, Barcelona wins, por favor. Oh, y por todas partes. Excelente, fantástico. All right. Excelente. So let's go ahead and let's go over the ingredients, los ingredientes. Hopefully you got the list of food items that you needed. Some of you, I think, are cooking the vegetarian or vegan option. Others of you are doing the meat cooking with me. So I'm going to turn my camera off and you will see my lovely kitchen, mi cocina tan elegante. No, it's just a normal kitchen. Bueno, aquí estamos. And we're going to just go through the ingredients. So I'm going to call them out, make sure we have them here, and then we'll do all the cooking and chopping together. Bien? Okay, I know that was a lot, but just throwing at you. So I'm hoping we're doing well. I'm going to be taking a poll throughout to make sure that I'm not going too quickly, bien, and that the pace is okay for you. All right, so let's get this puppy started. Here we go. Let's go ahead and look at the list of ingredients. First of all, you're going to need a few things to do the cooking, yeah? So you're going to need your paella pan, which we call una paellera. La mía es muy grande. This one's like really big. Yours hopefully is a little bit smaller. And if you don't have a paella pan, you just need a large flat pan, a pan that is circular and big and is flat, not too deep. Yeah, not too deep. Okay. The other thing you need is an olla, a small pan. We're going to be putting the chicken broth in here at some point tonight. And maybe if you have a lid, that would be good too. Una tapa. And we also need a small pan to fry the azafran flakes on, the little saffron flakes. We're going to be heating them up and toasting them in this pan. So it's just a little dry pan. Yeah, so those 3 items. Diana, are there any questions so far coming through in the chat, or are we good? I recommend some big cooking spoons, and you're also going to need possibly some measuring spoons as well, cups, a cutting board, una tabla para cortar, some knives, cuchillos. So if you're doing this with the family, make sure you're monitoring who's doing the cutting. ¿Quién va a cortar? And at the end, you will need a towel, una toalla. Yeah, just like a cotton cooking towel. We're going to be using this to cover the paella at the very end.
Hi, Molly. We have a few pan-related questions.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
One is asking, would a wok work?
You could try it. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Vamos a ver. If that's the only thing in your house, try it. The thing that's interesting with paella is we don't actually mix it. We kind of scoot it around. We shovel it around a little bit. We kind of push it. We push it. So with a wok, it's making you kind of want to mix, where it's better if you have a flat pan so that you're just scooting the items rather than making it into a big heap. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. So if that option is there, great. If not, try a wok. Let's see how you do. That's the thing with paella. It's always an experiment, un experimento. So sometimes it really works out great. Other times you bomb it, but it all tastes delicious in the end. So we'll just see. Great. Vamos a ver. Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
If folks have a smaller pan, could folks use a smaller pan, or how?
Sure, you could use a smaller pan, and when we're doing kind of the measurements with the rice and the chicken broth, you'll just make that smaller measurements. You'll just kind of eyeball it. Yeah, that's fine. Muy bien. Okay. So let's go ahead and make sure we have our olive oil.
Sorry, one more question, Molly. Sorry. Would it be all right to use between a cast iron or a steel pan? Which would
Perfecto. Either one. Los dos. Sí.
Sounds good.
Muy bien. Aquí tenemos aceite de oliva. So olive oil, we'll be using this first. See? Let's make sure we have all our ingredients. Tenemos paprika. También se dice el pimentón para paprika. See? Después tenemos limones. These are more to garnish, ¿sí? Para guarnición al final. Bien. 2 o 3 limones. We also need some white beans, alubias blancas. ¿Sí? Tenemos white beans. You might have fresh, you might have canned. Bien. Un ingrediente muy importante es azafrán. This is saffron from Spain, and this comes from the Asian countries, but it definitely creates the flavors within the paella and gives it that nice red color. See el color? Other spices we need are oregano, thyme, tomillo. We need some garlic powder, see, polvo de ajo. If you are cooking meat with me today, you're going to need some chorizo. Maybe 1, 2, or even 3. If you like chorizo sausages, we'll cut those up. Chorizo. Hopefully you got the Spanish chorizo, not Mexican chorizo. The flavors are very different. Puerco. See, it was just a pork fillet. You could have cut up all of it, half of it. I marinated it in a little bit of lemon, un limon, olive oil, aceite, salt and pepper. If you didn't do that, we can just add some to the paella pan. We can add some limon and aceite in the moment that we add the pork. See el puerco? You'll also need some pollo, some drumsticks. I have a bunch in here. It really just, it's recommended per people that you're going to serve. So if you have a family of 4, you might want to do 4 drumsticks. If you have a family of 6, 6 drumsticks. This paella lasts for a couple days. Tomorrow, I love eating it in the morning with an egg on top, and you have a little bit of your paella in your pan. It's so delicioso, super rico, muy delicioso. So this lasts for days. It's a really yummy, staple food as well. Okay, we also need some salt, sal. You need either chicken broth or vegetable broth, depending on which recipe you're following. See, caldo de pollo. Después necesitas arroz, and arroz bomba is the Spanish type of rice. I also gave you a few other options of different types of rice you could use. So let's just go with whatever rice you have available in the kitchen. But arroz bomba is the one that keeps the most al dente. And this is actually grown to make paella. It's from Valencia. Vegetables, you need judías verdes, some green beans. I just like to take kind of a handful of green beans, and we'll cut those up. Lo vamos a cortar. Frozen peas, or fresh ones, whichever one you decided. Guisantes, see? We'll use about half of a frozen bag. Bien. A purple onion, we're gonna use about half of this, chopped up. Una cebolla morada. Después ajo, you might be using fresh garlic or possibly minced garlic. Either one works. Los dos. We're going to use about 2 tablespoons of it chopped up. Ajo. ¿Qué más? Say it again.
A 4-year-old wanted to say hi.
Excelente. Me gusta. Hola, mi amor. Hola, hola.
Yeah, she has to train.
We also, let's make sure we have our tomato sauce. So it was either a jar of fried tomato sauce, or if you just have a regular can of tomato sauce, we'll be using about half a can of tomato sauce. Y después tenemos una jarra de pimientos rojos. This is also for guarnición. This is just for decoración at the very end. The red peppers, it adds a little nice flavor at the very end. Okay, and if you're doing the vegan or vegetarian, you also probably bought the artichoke hearts, alcachofas. And if you're doing vegan, vegetarian, garbanzo. See? Okay. All right, so hopefully everyone has all of these ingredients, and if not, we'll just throw in what you have and see what comes out. Yeah? Sound good? Okay, fantastico. Diane, we're gonna go ahead and start cooking. Diana, is there anything else that's popping up before we get started?
Just a few questions about ingredients, such as, would it be okay to skip the chorizo?
Sure.
Sure, yeah. Great. And paprika question. Got a few asks about recommended paprika. Someone's asking if smoked paprika would work.
All of the above. Really, the paella is whatever ingredients you have in your home, you use. Because paella was traditionally used for workers in the field, and they would be cultivating the rice, el arroz, and someone would be grabbing vegetables from the field. Someone else would be grabbing maybe some chicken or rabbit or things they could find to add into the paella, and everything just comes from the natural space. Any of the garlic or oregano, thyme, anything you have around, that's what they would throw into the paella. So it's a very family cultural dish that we're going to be making. So if you have some ingredients and don't have the others, don't worry. No te preocupes. The most important is that we are cooking with love. See? Que cocina con amor. Because if you've ever seen that movie like Water for Chocolate, they say what you put into the paella is what comes out. So if you're in a headspace of like, nah, muy ansiosa, right now, it's the time to channel love. See? Cocina con amor. And what we put into it, we're going to get out of it. So this will be fun. we will succeed and it will be a good moment for all. I promise. Te lo prometo. Okay, so the first things we need to do is we need to make sure that we have el fuego, which is the heat. Yeah, we're gonna put the heat on medium, see? Vamos a poner el fuego en mediano. What I like to do, because I have such a big paella pan, I actually like to use 2 burners. So that's what I'm gonna do over here. Depends how large your paella pan is. So I'm putting it on medium heat, el fuego mediano, medium heat, and I'm going to take my olive oil, aceite de oliva, see? And you can measure out, that's fine. I like to kind of eyeball things a little bit better. So if you like to measure, we're gonna do a 1/2 cup, see? If not, I like to do 4 to 5 circles in the pan of el aceite de oliva, see? So we're gonna do 4 to 5 circles or a 1/2 cup. Bien? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Muy bien. So I'll give you a peek at what that looks like. Beware, I'm coming in with my computer. Just like that. So there's a lot of oil in there. Mucho aceite, 1/2 cup. My pan is big, so I did 5 circles, see? 5 círculos, así. Bueno. Now we're going to let that warm up a little bit, see? And we're going to chop our onion, la cebolla. Vamos a cortarlo. You're just trying to chop it into little chunks. Let's do 1/2 of our onion, la mitad, see? So right here, aquí, voy a cortarlo. Y vamos a ponerlo, we're gonna put it in the pan as soon as we have it chopped. Bien, so I'm using a purple onion. If you have a different color onion, don't worry, no te preocupes. It will add a little different flavor, but that's fine. Again, it's whatever you have in the house. Que tienes en la casa. Nice. All right. So we're just gonna go ahead and just do a little chopping of our onion. See, vamos a cortar la cebolla. Muy bien. And I've never been someone who cuts like a chef professionally, see, muy profesional. Everything I cut is kind of chunky and, you know, mismatched. So that's what you're gonna get. But while we're eating it, do we care? No. So this is what it looks like. La cebolla, take a peek at my screen. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put it in the pan. You should hear some sizzling happening. That was about 1/2 of the cebolla, la mitad. Muy bien. And while that is sizzling in the pan, I'm going to take my garlic, mi ajo. You're gonna do 2 tablespoons. So that would probably be about 5 dientes, cloves, 5 cloves. I like to cheat sometimes, and I like to actually just use roasted minced garlic. So I put about 2 tablespoons of that in. Yo necesito, voy a usar, I'm just gonna use a regular spoon, una cuchara así, and I'm just going to grab it like that. 2 of these, 2 de esos. Uno. And if you're using fresh garlic, take time right now, go ahead and chop up a bunch and make it 2 tablespoons worth. See? Excelente. So now you hear that sizzling. Ooh. Can you start to smell? ¿Puedes oler? Qué rico, por favor. Qué rico. I'm obsessed with garlic. Sí, estoy obsesionada con el ajo. I love it and I love that smell. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just mixing it. Voy a mezclarlo. Again, it's on medium heat. Fuego lento. Bien. And you should see the oil bubbling, el aceite. It should look pretty juicy. Yeah. So if you need to add a little more oil, go for it. But this is what mine looks like. You can take a peek now. bubbling. I'm starting to smell these delicious smells of la cebolla y el ajo. Excelente. Okay. The next step, we're just going to kind of let that marinate a little bit or saute. See? Now we're going to actually take a few sprinkles of thyme, el tomillo, aquí, and a few sprinkles of oregano. See? Bien. So let's go ahead and do that now. When I say a few sprinkles, that's about 3 or 4 sprinkles of each. So go ahead and just sprinkle that into 1, 2, 3, 4. And if yours aren't coming out as much like mine are, give it some extra sprinkles. Yeah. So we're just kind of sprinkling away. So if you want to see what it looked like in my hand, it was probably about that much. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So that's the oregano and the thyme. Now we're going to take the paprika, o también se dice pimentón. See the paprika, whatever kind of paprika you have, excelente. And we're actually going to put it just in the center of the pan. And then we're going to take our wood spoon and spread it out to the sides. So again, just a few sprinkles of paprika. I would do about 3 or 4 sprinkles in the center, en el centro. See? 1, 2, 3, 4. Muy bien. And I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like, the pan, la paella, see? So I'm going to take my spoon, la cuchara, and I'm just going to take the paprika and I'm going to kind of smush it out to the side, like I'm massaging someone with my spoon. I'm touching their back very gently, just like that, yeah? Good. And then I can, the paprika is kind of mixed in with all the ajo, the onion and garlic, and getting some really delicious flavors. So what this is called in Spanish, we call this a sofrito. Even in Italian, there's a word. Means it's like the base mixture of the paella. Sofrito, it's like the sauce kind of that's going to hold the glue to the paella. See? Okay. Next step, necesitamos poner la salsa de tomate. So here we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our tomato sauce. I'm recommending half the jar in the center of the pan. And again, we're going to kind of spread it around evenly through the pan. Never mixing, spreading, more like massaging, see? Until everything caramelizes. So I need to open this. Yo necesito abrirlo.
Molly, quick question for you. How large is that can?
My pan?
The can of tomato sauce.
The can, sorry, perdón. La lata, 15 ounces.
Okay, gracias.
So I would put about 8 or 9 ounces in, 8 o 9, see? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open it. This is called an abre latas, a can opener, just like it is in English. Can, lata, open, abre. So can opener, abre latas. Voy a abrirlo. I'm gonna open it now. Muy bien. And honestly, I'm going to take it and dump half of it into the middle of the pan. So it looks just like this. Yeah, you can probably see it from where you are. Aquí.
We have
And
a
I'm
question.
again going to massage it gently. Go for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
A question about how much rice it would be used for these proportions of ingredients.
We are going to be using around, it depends how big your pan is, but probably around 2 to 3 cups of rice when we get to that step. Okay, so the salsa de tomate went directly inside the middle, and we're just pushing it out. See? Kind of like in a star, una estrella. And again, never mixing like we're used to doing with saute, where we're like, yeah, right? We're just massaging gently. See, just pushing with the spoon. Because the last thing you want is like a pile of everything to be like piled up. When you look at a paella, it's flat. See, es más o menos así. So that's why this kind of massaging motion is super important, and everything's very slow, muy lento. And you're just thinking about someone you love. Maybe it's a pet or a child or someone in your family, una persona, or maybe it's a piece of art or some music or even just a piece of fruit. You love that, eating that piece of fruit, or you love listening to that music. So if you think about that while you're making your paella, I promise you, it's going to turn out delicioso. Fantástico. Because if you think about the Latinos, right, the people from Spain, los españoles, you think about all their dance, la flamenco, los gitanos, all of the gypsy influence from the South. I mean, think of that passion, think of that love, think of that drive. That is what is going into all of this food making. So, fantastico. Okay, I think about, it looks pretty good. Mine smells very garlicky. Anyone else want to tell me what you smell in your kitchen? I'd love to hear. Go for it. Don't be shy.
It's garlic.
Garlic? Ajo, yeah, that's good. That's a good thing. Fantastico. Anyone else smell something different?
Tomato.
Ooh, tomate. Excelente. Okay, so right now, thank you for sharing. Right now we're gonna add, if you're doing the meat version with me and you have chicken, you're going to add the marinated chicken drumsticks if you did marinate. If you didn't, this would be a good time to maybe get some lemon juice and sprinkle it around, but mine is marinated. I put it in just for like an hour before class. I have it in some olive oil, some lemon, some salt and pepper, some thyme and oregano, just the same spices we have in the paella. So I'm actually going to add maybe 5 or 6 of these chicken, and just to start browning it. And I'm going to turn the heat down just a tad. So I'm going to put it on medium low. Okay. Actually, maybe I'll add all 6. I did 6. Yeah. And if you didn't have time to marinate it, I would just, again, I'd recommend maybe taking a lemon, adding a little lemon juice on top of the chicken, maybe adding a little bit of olive oil, some salt on top of the chicken, see? And just adding a little extra flavor, un poco más de gusto. So if you can see here, I added my chicken. And I'll do that, and then we'll go ahead and add our other meats. So if you're doing the vegetarian version, you can just pause for right now, maybe open a glass of vino, vino tinto. I have a vino, yo tengo un vino de La Rioja, see? Excelente. So I'm just going to actually kind of massage, doing a little bit of gentle mixing, and turn my chicken over. So it's getting a really nice red kind of dye. It almost looks like it's the red color, like the tomato sauce, el tomate, la salsa de tomate, y la paprika también. See? Excelente. Okay. If your stove isn't that strong, I might recommend putting it onto medium. See, mediano, just so that chicken gets cooked well. Okay, now we're going to add our pork, el puerco. So if you're doing the meat version with me, this again, I put a little bit of aceite de oliva, a little olive oil, a little bit of lemon, un poco limon, que más, sal, oregano y thyme, y tomillo, see? So if you didn't do that, this would be a time to cut your pork. I would say I probably have a nice cup of pork. They're about like an inch thick or chunk thick. If you want to take a look here, they look about that. And this would be a good time to open your pork, cut it. I got a long filete. I used half of it. So the other half I just put in the freezer for some soup or some other time in my life when I want to eat pork. Bueno, so I just cut them into little cubes like this, and they have lemon juice and olive oil on them, aceite de oliva. So I'm going to dump it all now into the pan. Voy a ponerlo en la paellera. Excelente. Muy bien. And we're just kind of, again, let's make sure that we're pushing it around the meats so that pork, el puerco, now will want to become red, dyed kind of like the chicken is. Muy bien. Okay, fantástico. Muy bien. And the last meat we're going to add is the chorizo. Vamos a agregar el chorizo. So my husband loves the chorizo. So I think what I'm going to do is definitely I'll cut up 2 of these, dos pedazos de chorizo. If you're super into chorizo, you may want to add all 3 or save one for breakfast the next few days or freeze it. Chorizo with eggs is always a delicious little delight. Bueno. So I'm actually going to cut my chorizo aquí. Voy a mover estas cosas. Un momento. I'm going to cut them into just slices. You just always think of paella as like bite size, right? So here, I'm just going to do slices like this, así, because the way we eat paella is just with a fork. We don't use a knife. So we're just thinking bite size. If you even want to make them smaller than that, go for it. You want to cut those in half. But I'm going to cut up 2 chorizo sausages. Again, my paella is pretty big. Es muy grande, so 3 would fit if I wanted to. I might make the decision. Voy a tomar la decisión. And this will give really nice flavor. Un sabor bien, bien, bien español. ¿Sí? So if you can see here, I have 2 chorizo sausages, and it's about 2 handfuls right there. And they're just cut up. I'm going to add those to the pan. So everyone go ahead and take a peek at the screen. Okay. Y voy a ponerlo alrededor. Muy bien. Excelente. Okay, fantastico. So now we're gonna let this, the meat cook. La carne needs to cook for about 10 minutes, 10 minutos. And while the meat is cooking, let's make sure we've stirred it, right? Your heat should be around our paella, mucha paella. We're kind of mixing around our meats, making sure that everything's covered in the yummy red sauce. And it should be bubbling. See? Excelente. And I encourage you, if you're cooking chicken, to rotate the chicken. See, vamos a dar una gira. See, vamos a girar el pollo. Rotate it, bien. And making sure all these meats are cooking. So let's put our heat back up to medium if it isn't already. A mediano. Excelente. Nice. And we're just letting the meats cook there. For about 10 minutes. So I'm looking at the timer. So now, ahora, que podemos hacer, what we can do is we're going to grab some of our broth, el caldo. ¿Sí? El caldo, basically it's 2 parts broth to 1 part rice, see, for this recipe. So you are going to need something to measure with.
Oh, hi, Molly. Just a quick question about folks cooking the vegetarian or vegan version. It sounds like the sauce is simmering.
It is.
Or like it's starting to burn. Any recommendations on how to remedy that?
Oh, okay. If it's burning, turn your heat down. Turn your heat down, and what you could also do, and that's okay, if it is burning a little bit, there's actually a layer at the bottom that is one of the most desired layers that is extra crispy at the bottom. So don't worry, no te preocupes, just turn your heat down for the vegetarian cookers. And I would say add a little bit more tomato sauce, un poco más salsa de tomate. In just a minute, we're going to add our vegetables, see, los vegetales. But right now we just want to get the chicken broth cooking, getting warm. You never add cold chicken broth to paella. It always needs to be nice and warm, see? So, or vegetable broth. So what I recommend is we start off with 4 cups. We may not use them all. So you could 4 cups of chicken broth. So you can always reserve it and feed it to your dogs and their dog food. Make a soup or heat it up tomorrow. It's a nice little snack, chicken broth. Nice, heat it up. It helps your throat. You talk a lot with me teaching. And we're just going to put 4 cups, if you have that much. We'll put 4 cups into our pan with this. This is into our olla, our heating pan. 4 cups of chicken broth. And I'm going to put a lid on it. And I'm going to put this on medium so it heats up. Bien? Okay. Excelente. And rotate it. Also do a little nice massage to the rest of the onions, las cebollas, la salchicha, and make sure that every single chicken drumstick is rotated. Bien. Now, because some burners are stronger than others, I actually like to rotate my pan every once in a while when I'm cooking paella, so that I know that one side isn't getting cooked more than the other. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm just going to rotate the pan. And that ensures that it will be nice and evenly cooked. Good. So I'm just kind of pushing everything around in my paella pan, making sure all the meats are cooked. Maybe it's just that, you know, the paella gods and goddesses want you on your own. All right, meat is cooking. The caldo, the chicken broth, is warming up. Before I leave you again, let's get our little pan, see, a sartén, and let's put our saffron flakes in it. So if you have some azafran, I actually, this is from Trader Joe's, it's a little, wow, 0.02 ounces, like nothing. This much, it's just a little bit in my palm, you can see that. And I take the threads and I'm going to break them up and put them in a cold pan. See, so I'm just going to go ahead and break them up like this. Bien? And it looks like that. Okay? And now I'm going to toast them on very low heat. Fuego muy, muy, muy lento. Just toast them till they get a little crispy. And then we add them to the paella. See?
How much saffron again?
Muy bien. All right. I'd love to take a poll really quickly. Aside from me popping out every 3 seconds, how is the speed going? If your hands are relatively clean and you want to touch your computer or iPad, let me know how the speed is for the clap. Okay, good. Sorry, vegan, vegetarians, your moment will appear right now. I promise. Te prometo.
How much saffron?
I'm doing like a palm full. So I would say a tablespoon if you have that much. Perfect. Okay, thank you for everyone who submitted the poll. Okay, that helps me. Good. Okay, so the saffron, it's dry. It's just dry, kind of heating up in the pan a little bit. We just want to make sure that it's on low. It's kind of getting a little crispy, and then we're adding it to the paella pan. See, vamos a ponerlo en la paella. Bien. All right, so now if you're feeling like it's too slow, grab a glass of wine, un vaso de vino, or grab some water, agua, see, salud. Muy bien. And it is time to add the saffron flakes. Yes? Then we're also going to add a few pinches of garlic powder, some salt, some sal, and then we'll be adding the broth. See? Perfecto. So let's go ahead and add our azafrán. Take the heat off of the pan. Should look like this. They're just kind of toasted flakes. Make sure you get them all in there and you're just sprinkling them around. I'm going to use a spoon for this, una cuchara. Just sprinkling them around the paella. Muy bien. Make sure your heat is turned off from the small pan. And now, again, let's just massage our meats and our sofrito. And if vegan, vegetarian, go ahead and give it another little massage. Your cebolla and your ajo and your tomato, tomate, salsa de tomate. It should all be really nice and kind of caramelizado. Give your drumsticks another twist, another turn. Gíralos if you're doing chicken drumsticks. Excelente. Make sure they're nice and turned in the oils and the tomato sauce, salsa de tomate. Excelente. Okay. Muy bien. We're still on medium heat. So go ahead and keep your paella pan on medium heat. And now we're going to add some chicken broth. See, caldo de pollo. I am going to make sure you have something if your pot is hot. I'm going to use a mitten or a towel to measure. So my chicken broth, as you can see, it's steamy. That's good. It should be pretty steamy. And I'm actually going to add 2 cups. So I have something that won't melt. If you're eyeballing it, add half. And you're just adding it around inside the paella pan. So I'm going to start with 2 cups of broth. Okay. And the reason why is because you kind of feel it out. So I'm going to start with 2 cups of broth and I'm putting it around the paella pan. Muy bien. Okay. So that's nice and kind of bubbly right now. There's 2 cups of broth inside. And we're just kind of letting the flavors blend and bubble up. Let's add some garlic powder. We're going to do about 3 shakes of garlic powder. And let's add a little bit of salt as well. See, about 3 shakes of salt, just like a little pinch of salt. So I'm going to go ahead and do some garlic powder. And I'm going to do some salt, about 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 things of salt. Nice. And so now the broth is boiling behind me. We've added the saffron flakes. We've added the garlic. We've added the salt. And the meat and everything is kind of ruminating and marinating with the chicken broth. Bien. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add the rice little by little. So I just added 2 cups of the chicken broth. I'm going to add 1 cup of rice. My rice is called arroz bomba. And this sucks up liquid. And what you want is an al dente consistency. You don't want like bleh, mushy rice. You want al dente.
If we have the Calaros rice, is there any change to our quantity?
Nah, you're just eyeballing it. We're just making sure that it's not going to be too mushy, but it should be good if you're doing 2 cups of broth to 1 cup of rice.
If we wanted more rice with our dish, should we go ahead and add that broth now?
No, not just yet, because I'm also going to add some more rice.
Okay.
So we're gonna just kind of keep measuring it out right now, and then see what the levels look like. So right now we all should have 2 cups in our pan, and it all depends on how big your pan is, how small your pan is. You never want the level of liquid to go past like 1/4 inch at the top of your pan. So if it's already there, 2 cups might be enough of the chicken broth. You don't want it to go above 1/4 inch. The broth. Okay, so now I'm going to take my rice. I measured out 2 cups of rice. I'm going to add 1 cup of rice, and I'm doing this with a big spoon. So I recommend you do it with a big spoon as well.
Let's see.
I'm going to go ahead and see if I can mute everyone for a minute. Diana, can you mute everyone for me for a minute?
Yes, I'm gonna
Thank
go ahead
you.
and do that.
So I'm going to take a big spoon, una cuchara grande, if you have one, and I'm actually going to put the rice where all of the liquid is. So not on top of the meat, like not on top of the chicken, but where all the liquid is, all around those yummy spaces where the chicken broth is. So I'm doing 1 cup. 1 cup of rice. Gently around where the liquid is, and make sure some goes in the center as well. Okay, so I just did 1 cup of rice to 2 cups broth. I have more room in my pan, so I'm going to add more broth now. I'm actually going to add 2 more cups of broth and another cup of rice. You check the levels. I have enough room in my pan. My pan's really big. So make sure your broth level isn't going higher than like 1/4 inch to the top of the pan. So I'm going to actually add my other 2 cups of broth. We're still on medium heat in the pan. I'm adding the broth around the meats. Excelente. And I'm going to add another cup of rice. See, otra taza de arroz. And again, I'm doing it in the places where there's chicken broth, not on top of the meat. If it goes on top, it's okay. Just roll the meat around, but So you're taking a spoon and you're lovingly putting the rice inside and around the paella. I would love to bring my computer over, but I'm a little scared to do that tonight because the internet is not on my side. So I'm going to show you what mine looks like. Let's hope I don't spill it onto the computer. Can you all see this? Everyone take a peek. Muy bien, excelente, fantástico. Muy bien. So it's pretty soupy, right? Hay mucho caldo. The rice is kind of on the edges. You can see it a little bit. And now I'm going to massage it with my spoon. And again, when I say massage, it's like this kind of just like a pushing around, a gentle pushing. You're not mixing, you're not fluffing, you're not turning. It's just a gentle push, making sure everything's blending. See? So that's what I'm going to do. Gentle push of the rice, making sure it's all blended with the caldo, with the broth, con el caldo, see? Perfecto. I have a little bit of rice on, a little bit more rice on one side than the other. So I'm just evening it out. If you have drumsticks, you're going to flip your drumsticks again. Go ahead and rotate those again. If you're doing chicken drumsticks, rotate it so that everything's getting cooked evenly. Excelente. Oh my gosh, this is really smelling good. And in a moment, it should be bubbling a little bit. Mine is not super bubbly, so I'm going to turn my heat up a tiny bit. Mi fuego. I'm actually using 2 spoons to kind of massage around where the rice and the caldo is.
Mhm. We've got a question, Molly, from the
Yes. Sí, por favor.
vegan chefs here. Wondering if the if folks that are making the vegetarian or vegan version of this recipe are still standing by.
Good, they are.
Yeah.
Because right now we're going to add all of the vegetables. So yes, but they should have added their rice with us and their chicken broth with us. And they should have added the saffron with us and the garlic powder and the salt. Yeah, el sal también. Ooh, mine is bubbling and I didn't even turn the heat up. I would rotate your pan again, everyone, if you can. Rotate it. Make sure everything else is off. So far I did 2 cups of rice, 4 cups of chicken broth. If you decide to do more, great. Just remember it's 2 cups of broth to 1 cup of rice if you decide to add more. And you're welcome to throughout this process from now until the end of this. See, it's going to be about 20 more minutes, 20 minutos más. So now we're going to add all of the vegetables together. We're going to add the green beans, las judías verdes. I have them here. I washed them. I have fresh ones. You may be using frozen. That's fine. I have about a handful. Yeah. I'm going to chop them into about 1/2 inch. Remember, everything's kind of bite size. So here I go. Voy a cortarlos aquí. ¿Dónde está mi cuchillo? Aquí. Muy bien. Voy a cortarlos y voy a make sure those ends get cut off. You don't want any weird, crunchy green bean ends in the end of your paella. Okay. And again, about 1/2 inch, right? Just bite size. Because we don't use knives with paella. Everyone kind of eats from the edges of the plate and works their way in. So 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch pieces of green bean, judía verde. So if you want to take a peek at my camera, That's about how much I'm adding. And I'm just sprinkling it around where the broth is, el caldo. Making sure it gets to each part in the paella pan. So you see green everywhere, verde por todos lados. See? Okay. Now I'm going to also add the green peas. If you have frozen peas like I do, I use half a bag, but it depends on how much you like beans. Whoa, mine are falling out. I think I am. So I'm gonna add a half bag of frozen peas. The other half goes back into the freezer for if I knock my knee on a table and I need them, or I'm back, people. Estoy aquí. It's like, Molly está or no está? It's like this like imaginary. Molly is or isn't there? Let's see. Okay, question. Tyler and Jessica, I see you guys have your hands raised. No? Yes? We're good? Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on.
No? Okay. All right.
I can help field the question. Is it too late to add more rice if the dish is very soupy? Will it cook differently?
So let me, before I answer that, let me show my paella pan. Don't worry, I'm not gonna move my computer because apparently that's not working. So let me go ahead and show you how soupy mine is. Do you see that? It's like serious soup. Yeah? You don't even see the rice yet. There's soup, there's vegetables. It's a lot of liquid right now. It's gonna take about 15 minutes to start absorbing and then 10 more to finish absorbing. So I probably wouldn't add more rice. If you followed the 2-to-1, I probably wouldn't add more rice. Okay.
And
White beans, las alubias blancas, I would drain them and add them to the pan. And vegetarians, vegans, this is the time to drain your artichoke hearts and add these. And time to drain your garbanzo beans and add those.
if you have frozen beans or peas, should you warm them up
No.
first?
Nope, you plop them in. All my frozen stuff is in there. It'll cook. Va a cocinar. Muy bien. Okay, so I'm not putting in artichoke hearts and I'm not putting in garbanzo beans because I'm not doing the vegetarian version. So I'm gonna set those to the side because otherwise it might be too much. So I am adding white beans, alubias blancas. Voy a abrirlos. I'm gonna open them and drain them and then add them to the paella. Everything should be bubbling right now on medium heat. You can rotate your chicken again. If you're cooking the chicken drumsticks, I'd ask you to rotate them one more time. And okay, I'm adding my white beans, alubias blancas, and I'm just kind of adding them to the edges and the middle. And we'll do a little massage, thinking about something or someone we love, something that makes us happy. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure all my vegetables are really covered with that yummy red sauce. Yeah, la salsa. You just want everything kind of covered, but you don't want to stir. You just want to push things around a little, okay? As to not upset the space. I'm starting to see my rice is starting to grab some of the moisture, but my paella is pretty liquidy still. It's bubbling, it's liquidy, and I am still on medium heat. Okay. And I'm just making sure the green beans and the peas and the white beans are all covered with red sauce, or we call it in Spanish, it's called el sofrito. El sofrito is like the fried part of the sauce for the paella. It's just specific to paella. Específica para paella. And for those of you that are like, oh no,